How you doing? I'm Big D. Welcome to my show, The Boiling Point. Today is December 30th, 2023. Hope you all had a great holiday for your Christmas. And we have another holiday coming up in just 2 days, so be safe out there. Be responsible. We're going to wait just a second, see if anybody shows up. We're going to do a recording of this, so you will see it later on today. Getting into this, I talked about on the last show that Georgia Governor Kemp's legal staff has notified Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger that almost 18,000 invalid 2020 votes were counted in the Fulton County, Georgia alone. This is just a report, but it did move on to a public 2-day meeting, which was held last week in Georgia's state capitol building. Now, he is fighting every step of the way to answer any questions pertaining to that situation or the machines. I wonder why that is. Maybe because under oath, you stating that it was all fair? Probably not a good idea for him. So he's fighting everything. Now, the GOP is drafting a bill to remove Biden from ballots in Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Arizona. Can you imagine that if it went through, where the swing states, Biden had no chance? Now, Maine's highest court has ruled that the Republican president candidate, Chris Christie, will not appear on the 2024 ballot after his campaign failed to gather enough certified signatures for registered voters. Now, the Supreme Court also rejected Jack Smith's request to bypass the appellate court on Trump's presidential immunity, challenging to his J6 indictment so that he could try him before the 2024 election. There's a lot of rumors that the 2024 election will not happen, and I believe that as well. That's because I have a belief about the NESARA GESARA, quantum financial system, the RV, that kind of thing. Now, New York Democrats are now calling on the State Board of Elections to remove former President Donald Trump from the state ballots following the Colorado Supreme Court ruling to remove Donald Trump from the ballots. But the Supreme Court stepped up, and that has been overturned. Now, California Secretary of State Shirley Weber has decided to keep former President Donald Trump on the presidential primaries ballots, despite mounting pressure from various Democratic figures, including California's own Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kanalowski. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly, but I'm not really caring too much about that. And also, Secretary of State Shirley Weber has certified the list of candidates for the state's GOP presidential primary, explicitly including Donald Trump. Now, this decision comes after a backdrop of requests for Donald Trump's removal based on claims he violated insurrection clause of the United States Constitution. But again, he has not been found guilty. So how can you try to remove someone for supposedly doing something if you haven't been found guilty in the court of law? Now, in a letter addressed to the Secretary Weber, Lieutenant Governor, and also references the recent ruling from the Supreme Court in Colorado, which deemed former President Trump ineligible for Colorado's ballot, citing his alleged role in inciting the January 6th insurrection. We all know the truth of that now, especially with more and more videos coming out proving his innocence. How he stated in his rally up the street, please go peacefully. Go and protest, but go peacefully. You know, obviously the MSM has left out many of that discussion at the rally. Hello, Linda. Nice to see you. We also have Maine's Secretary of State says no ballots will be printed until Supreme Court rules on Trump's eligibility, suggests there won't be enough time to put him on the ballot, even if it's ruled in his favor. Now, the legal theories are based on Section 3 of the United States Constitution, 14th Amendment, which states public officials who have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the U.S. may be disqualified from public office. Trump has not been charged with engaging in insurrection or rebelling against the United States. And he has not been found guilty of anything that's related to J6. Now we have a little information coming from the Soros family. Well, not from the Soros family, but information that the Soros family had to make a sudden emergency visit to Ukraine. Zelensky's announced peace talks surrender in Switzerland via the World Economic Forum. Zelensky will be removed from power, and Zelensky will be forced to leave Ukraine. Now, are these 100% truth? And no, I haven't been able to confirm it, but it comes from a good source, so that's why I'm giving it to you, and because it was actually reported. I wanted to go over a little bit about what happened because of Bidenomics. Overall prices right now have risen 17.4%. Food prices 20.3%. Rent is up 18.6%. I don't agree with that one. I believe it's way higher than that. I know a few people that are trying to get in different apartments, leave the one they're in. But getting to be approved through credit agencies is much harder right now than it was, say, just 2 or 3 years ago. And electricity is up 24.3%. I definitely believe most of that is pretty close. This is also something that has been reported. This isn't something made up from one of my helpers. And I want to bring out a little notification about that. They are very helpful, and I do appreciate them. And I hope they continue because this is a lot of research that goes along to make the show. Let's see. So there's Republican senators introducing legislation that would punish states for taking Trump off the ballot. Now, will this go anywhere? It is possible that they can make this happen because there's a lot of um, research that's been done that this should not be happening. They should not make it to the point where they're using politics and also the DOJ to stop someone they don't want in office. That should be illegal, just as the federal government right now is telling Texas, because of their new law, that they will deport and also arrest anybody coming across the southern border. The federal government is stepping up and stating, we will sue you if you continue with this progress. For the federal government to state that to a state, one who is trying to protect their citizens, that tells you a lot about what's really going on in the Biden administration. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, here it is. Now, talking about removing someone from the primaries or the ballots of the primaries. Abraham Lincoln was removed from the ballot in 10 states in 1860. Now, when that failed, a civil war, which resulted in 1.5 million dead or injured, when that failed, they took to the next step after he was reelected and murdered him while he was trying to enjoy a rare night out with his family. I know there's a lot of people stating that is unconstitutional, and I agree. When you're using politics and the courts to get your way, like a little baby, because who you're running against is much better than you are, then it's an unfairness because you're in power where someone running against you is not in power. They might have been a former president, but they know who the stronger candidate is. And we're going to go right into talking about silver. We have many reasons to believe silver will explode in 2024. Does explode mean right away $2,000? No, I don't believe that's going to happen. But it is a possibility of making it over $30 an ounce very shortly after the first of the year, January 2024. And it is believed that it could go to 60 to 100 ounces or $60 to $100 an ounce within a short time after that. And because of the dollar, the US dollar is taken a huge dip, and it's showing de-dollarization around the world. Matter of fact, Iraq, January 1st, 2024, they no longer will allow the use of the American dollar for currency, as a currency for their citizens. Many believe that the RV is going to happen short time after January 1st. Some believe it's going to be even before. There's a lot of things that have to happen. They have to fill the ATM machines and get the new currency, the lower denomination currency, to any stores or banks where they're going to do the transactions with the new currencies. They already have printed lower denominations. Like right now, 25,000 and 50,000 is probably the average dinar note, because it takes a lot of money of dinar to actually equal a very small amount of US dollar. Say a TV that costs $1,800. Well, over there, Iraq, everything is 3 times as much as it is in the United States. They have a lot of issues with countries even wanting to do business with them. So they don't have 400 different manufacturers that you can pick a TV from. Where you walk into a Walmart and you're going to have not only different sizes of TVs, you're going to have many different manufacturers to pick from. But $1,800 US versus it'll probably be somewhere around $1.5 million dinar to buy that same TV. So walking into your local Walmart, if they have a Walmart in Iraq, you're looking at a huge stack of money. If you have $100 bills, United States, that's 18. If you have 50,000 dinars, which probably the average citizen in Iraq would probably have 25,000. So you're going to have 4 just to get to 20 or 100,000, and from that you're going to have 40 to get to $1 million, and another 20 on top of that, if my math is correct. That's a lot of dollars walking into a Walmart, possibly taking chances of getting robbed. Now, they believe that a lot of this conversion is going to be changed very rapidly, and that's because of that going on in Iraq. And the RV would create the lower denominations actual dollar. So why would you, being a country like Iraq, if 25,000 dinar is actually worth, say, $25, I don't know exactly, but it's $25, $30, maybe somewhere around there, of US dollars. Why would you have a lower denomination of, say, 50 if the reevaluation wasn't very close? Otherwise, there would be printed money for no reason. And it's not like it's cheap to print these currencies, whether it be United States, there's a lot of security that goes into it, very specific paper, certain types of inks, things like that. So why would they go through the expense if the RV was not going to happen? And the new currency has been shown since probably last summer that I know of. Hoping for something like this to help citizens in Iraq would be amazing. They get a paycheck, and if they're able to save enough dinar for the reevaluation, they can become, I'm not going to say wealthy, but maybe have a few bucks in their pocket where they never had before. This is what we need. We need every country to citizens in every country to be feeling like they don't have much worry. But even when the RV happens, not everybody has enough money to be able to put money aside so you can live and also save at the same time. If you've had a chance and you've decided to get into foreign currencies because of some research that you've done, such as dinar from Iraq, VND from Vietnam, the Bolivar from Venezuela, it is a possibility that when those, if you've done the research, you can see these countries are vulnerable, but not to the point where the currency can't be revalued to the better for the citizens. Now with silver, going back to silver, we have $2,000 silver that is projected by many truthers where they've done the research where it should be, say from what it was in the early 1900s versus now with the inflation, silver should be right around $2,000. It comes out of the ground versus gold now, 7 ounces of gold versus 1 ounce of silver. So right there, because of supply and demand, where silver is one of the very few, if anything out there can actually do what silver does, would be amazing. But there is nothing out there that can take the place of silver. So can silver overtake gold? Yes. The belief is gold is something that is needed. And especially if you're going to have a gold-backed or a precious metals-backed currency, like we're trying in the United States and many around the world. Look at how many countries are getting tons and tons of gold. It's not because they just like the color. It's because they're most likely going to convert their currency over to gold backed or precious metals backed. Why do you think Warren Buffett has a standing purchase deal with COMEX? He is the first one to get large amounts on a regular basis. Do you think he knows what is going on with silver? My belief is yes. I think he knows exactly what's going on, and that's showing on the COMEX. COMEX doesn't have the amount of silver needed to match the demand. Again, silver every year has a deficit of 400 to 500 million ounces of silver that's needed. Look at the Green New Deal or whatever Biden wants to call it. It started with AOC, and then they passed it where there's trillions of dollars in new purchases every year, and it's going to go up. It's like an open checkbook. That's what the GOP did. They allowed them to purchase whatever they want. That's at least my opinion. But it has gone up since that agreement, trillions of dollars. So having your family taken care of by having some ounces of silver is a very good idea, my opinion. Don't just run out and buy your silver because I just suggested it. But silver being, I think, the most sought after precious metal right now. Every piece of electronics in your home has silver in it. Your car, and not just electric cars, solar panels. Look how many solar panel homes in your area, which is, in my opinion, ridiculous. You live in an area where there's a lot of snow. You're going to have to get up there and brush those off because the sun has to get to that to actually produce electricity. And what if it's like your car, where you brush off a majority of it, but you can't see complete glass? You have to scrape it. Are you going to go up on your roof and scrape it? Can you scrape it? Can you have it? Is there a chance that you can damage it? I don't know what that type of, if it's plexiglass, I don't know if it's an actual glass. I mean, think about damage. What if there's hail? Could hail damage the glass? If it's plexiglass, probably not. But if it's real glass, if it's not that thick, or it's tempered, or, there's a lot of options of glass. So is it a possibility that damage could happen and then you have further expense? One thing I do know, those solar panels are not efficient. Where are you going to store the batteries? Say you have a small house. Where do you store the batteries? It's just nonsense. It's usually a panel that you put on your wall with a bunch of batteries in it. Well, you don't do it, but the company who installs it does. What happens when those batteries are bad? Then you have a huge expense again to replace them. If you have an electric car, a lot of people don't know this. When you plug in your electric vehicle and you go to charge it, where does the power get produced from to create the energy that charges your car? A very high percentage is because of fossil fuels. Coal, natural gas. There is some that is created from windmills. There's also many solar panel farms, maybe even in your area, and they get damaged as well. And who's going over and brushing those off when we get a lot of snow? It's kind of odd that they're putting these things up in areas where there's high amounts of snow and possible ice or hail. Some people ask, what is the amount that I would need if something happens and our US dollar is worthless? Well, it's very close. It's just that the federal government hasn't come out and told us yet. But if you go onto the Federal Reserve website, you can actually see where the dollar is and what that dollar is able to purchase. You might want to check that out. Don't take my word for it. But from the day the Federal Reserve has begun, it was way up here. And it gradually started dropping in about the 1930s. And it's pretty much flatlined right at the bottom. Just check it out. Don't take my word for it. Federal Reserve. Check it out. I think the amount of silver that you need, and I'm nowhere near it. to live comfortably. This is before if silver doesn't increase to $2,000. I believe we're going to need about 1,000 ounces each. That's if there's no change in what we have now. But I think 200 ounces would be suffice if it increases the way many truthers, if you want to call them that, silver gurus, what they're talking about right now is it might be a rapid increase. And with the drop in the dollar, with the de-dollarization going on with many countries, it started with Russia. They used to use the US dollar for commodities. They converted over to gold. Same thing with China. Same thing with many other countries. Last summer, the president, I believe they call them presidents in Zimbabwe, stated that you're going to see a huge change when next year, where the US dollar, no country at all, will accept payment for goods with the US dollar because of many countries de-dollarizing their country away from the US dollar. And that's when many have started to come out and be public with it, showing you, at least Iraq is, that they no longer accept the US dollar as of January 1st, 2024. That's going to be a huge hit to the world with the US with a worthless dollar. Do you think we're going to be able to purchase or get a loan when our money is worthless? All this money that we keep borrowing and helping other countries, Israel, Ukraine, why not help our own people? That would be nice. How many homeless? I mean, look at San Francisco. That is a disgusting city right now. Used to be amazing. Look at many parts of California. Look what happens on the streets. You should check it out because I don't want to just, give you information like that because it's disgusting. But that is exactly what's going on. It will disgust you unless you already know it. So Linda states that everything they have tried is failing. Yes, I agree. Doesn't matter how many indictments they bring against him. The only thing that does matter, and it's not hurting him in any way, for the upcoming election or the primary. If you want to talk about the primary, is there anybody that has any competition against them? No possible way. But taking him off the ballot in Maine, in Vermont, Donald Trump won that one down there where the courts allowed Trump to stay on the ballot. Same thing with Colorado. I'm sure you've heard about that one. And now California, which is a very liberal state, they're stating that they're not taking him off. I really hope it doesn't go forward with many states doing that against Donald Trump. It will get overturned, I believe, each one. But when you look at people are already angry, I get heads up about the dark web all the time of people talking about moving forward with, I'm not going to say a civil war, but You never know. So being prepared on your own, if the dollar collapses, having silver, especially junk silver, that's like actual currency of 25 cents, quarter, a dime, those kinds of things. I think it's 1964 and older, they had 90% silver, or they call it junk silver. There are other currencies that have like 40%. You'll have to research that, but I don't get into that stuff. I just buy stackable bars, that kind of thing. That way it's easier to keep in a safe if you have a small safe. Definitely easier to store, especially if other items that you need to keep safe and also out of the chance of fire. Well, I just want to say thank you for stopping in. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification for all. That way you get all the updates of when these lives are happening. I am trying to keep them on Saturdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you have a want to sit in on one of these shows and you want to be a guest, let me know. Send me an email. I do appreciate it. Try to have a great holiday and safe one. And kind of do what you know you should be doing. Don't do anything wrong. Don't drink too much. Get a Uber driver if you need to, a friend as a designated driver, and definitely have fun. Thank you for stopping in, Linda. I appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day. God bless America.